yeah, it's scary how much these words matter, especially when some of these writers, some of my colleagues, are absolutely just terrible with words, or they're just they're such lousy writers. But it's weird. It's sad to see how much impact they can have.
I live in New York City. I live in New York City. I live in New York City. Yeah.
You got to know where it's coming from, because sometimes it's coming from somebody who doesn't really have the best interests of art in mind, or is coming from somebody who has this kind of uptown, downtown philosophy. You know what I mean? So they're really not watching you through any kind of true kind of clear eye. So, but I believe in it. You know what I mean? I think, a good critic can be very helpful, actually.
These are supposed to be people who know more than most, and who have a kind of golden opinion that is informed by objectivity and research. It's not true. Many of them are quite mediocre individuals who have never done anything, and it is cliquish. It is very much informed by prejudice, oftentimes their own prejudice. I know I have it. Thank God I don't have to write about many of the things that I even see in my own space here, because my own taste and prejudices are there. I don't think they're any different.
In an ideal world, I think critics would actually be much more of a part of the community that makes the work. Because often how critics work is they're providing consumer reports or they're doing stand-up comedy.
It's a very difficult position to be in, because, you really are kind of the enemy. If you sort of waved a magic wand and made all the critics disappear, what kind of culture would we have 20 or 30 years down the road? Would everything look like Times Square? Times Square is a zone it's an absence of criticism. That's a critical void. I mean, it's kind of beautiful and horrifying, but it's just like, it's a cacophony of, hey, look at this, this is the loudest, this is the brightest. It's like we're there to sort of say that, no, this is a piece of shit, actually, and you're being sold it day after day.
Deep in your heart, if you read it and you did shit, and they write about it and said, yeah, you did shit, you did shit. And if you did great, and you did fantastic, you did everything you could, and they still rip you apart, then that person's an asshole.
A lot of it depends on their perception of the work in a given moment. Remember that as artists, we may spend months, if not years, creating a work of art. That a critic is in a pressured position to produce a review after usually one hearing, and has to hand in their review the next day.
Right now, what's really beloved in the critical landscape is naturalistic plays about a family with a secret. That's, you can kind of be guaranteed that those plays are going to have a good chance of doing well. But formal experimentation, I don't feel like it's very desired or understood or celebrated.
It's easier with a play that's just sort of a living room drama about family secrets. It's easier to evaluate that because you've sort of seen 100 plays like that, and you can put that in context. A conventional play is much easier to describe than an experimental theater, so evaluating it is really hard, actually. You try to sound as authoritative as possible because you want people to read you and to be entertained and to believe you. One thing you'll never see in a review is, well, that's just my opinion, or I didn't really get it.
There is a tendency among some critics to want to come out guns blazing in their reviews or in their writing and disregard, for example, the need to sit down and patiently think about the work of art that is created. But for every one of those critics, I've found that there are many more who are seriously in this to engage the works of art and therefore further the artistic cause.
Don't think that they're like these, vicious assassins either, because that's usually not what they do. They're there because not because they're getting wealthy off being a theater critic or an art critic of any sort, but because they love what they do.
live in New York City. I live in New York City. I live in New York City. Yeah.